Aleph, Bet, Vet, Aleph, Bet, Vet, Gimel, Dalet, Hey, Gimel, Dalet, Hey, Vav, Zayin, Het, Het, Vav, Zayin, Het, Het, Yud, Kaf, Ha, Yud, Kaf, Ha, Lamma, Mem, Nun, Lamma, Mem, Nun, Sama, Ein, Pei, Fei, Sama, Ein, Pei, Fei, Sadi, Kuf, Resh, Sadi, Kuf, Resh, Shin, Sin, Tav.
Aleph.
The little song you just heard was sung by Ben. He's 7. It was a Hebrew alphabet song. He's very excited to make letters that he thinks look like printing. This is calligraphy, which literally means beautiful writing. At his bar mitzvah when he's 13, he'll read the Torah, and he'll be fascinated by the beautiful Hebrew calligraphy. The Torah is the Hebrew 5 books of Moses, the first books of the Bible. We call this scroll a Sefer Torah. Sefer means book. It is absolutely central to Judaism, and the scroll itself, and every letter in it, is considered holy.
Bet.
The Torah scroll is written on parchment, and the parchment is made from sheepskin or calfskin. The letters are very formal. They're not written with a modern steel nib, but with a quill pen, cut from a goose feather or turkey feather. This is Josh Baum, and he'll show us how a quill's made.
Gimel.
So let's see the quill in action. Bernard Benarosh is a sofer, or Torah scribe. He writes and repairs Torah scrolls and other religious texts. Each letter has many strokes. As the quill makes a mark, it leaves a little pool of ink on the parchment. The sofer carefully shapes each stroke and makes little crowns on certain letters. You probably noticed that Hebrew is written from right to left. It's almost like seeing it in a looking glass. The word he wrote is Amalek, ancient enemy of the Israelites, who attacked from behind. The tradition is to wipe out his name with a stroke.
Dalet.
Writing a Sefer Torah is a slow process, and it takes 12 to 18 months to complete one. All sofers have their own style. Josh's letters are very elegant, and he makes his strokes in a slightly unconventional sequence. The layout of the text on the scroll has its own rules, but the most important rule is that the text should be clear enough for a child with average ability to read it.
Hey.
As Hebrew has no separate number symbols, letters are used. So this tombstone is for a lady who died in 1923. If letters are numbers, words will have numerical values, and this is a direct link with Jewish mysticism. Aleph is 1 and stands for unity, but there is a duality in nature. An Aleph can be 2 bets. The interior of a letter Pei hides a bet, and the negative and positive spaces in the letter Bet fit together. This artwork by Josh Baum is a nice illustration. Gimel is 3, and here it's transformed from letter to number like a drawing by Escher.
Vav.
Every week on Saturday, the Jewish Sabbath, we read a portion of the Torah publicly in synagogue. This goes back to the time of Moses. It's also read on Mondays, Thursdays, and on festivals. Let's start at the very beginning of the Torah. Adam reads with a pointer called a yad, meaning hand, to avoid soiling or wearing away the delicate letters.
Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim v'et haaretz v'haaretz hayta tohu vavohu v'choshech al pnei tehom v'ruach Elohim merachefet al pnei hamayim vayomer Elohim yehi or vayehi or vayar Elohim et haor ki tov vayavdel Elohim bein haor uvein chachoshech vayikra Elohim laor yom v'lachoshech kara laila vayerev vayivoker yom echad.
Zion.
The Torah tells us to keep the Sabbath as a day of rest.
V'shameru v'nei Yisrael et hashabbat la'asot et hashabbat l'dorotam berit olam.
On Friday evening, we sanctify the Sabbath by a blessing over wine and bread called Kiddush.
ויהי ערב ויהי בוקר יום השישי ויחולו השמיים בארץ וכל צבאם ויחל אלוהים ביום השביעי מכל מלאכתו אשר עשה וישפוט ביום השביעי מכל מלאכתו אשר עשה ויברך אלוהים את יום השביעי ויקדש אותו כי בו שבת מכל מלאכתו אשר ברא אלוהים לעשות ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם בורא פרי הגפן.
Chet.
As well as the Sabbath, Jews celebrate a number of festivals during the year, which are described in the Torah. The first of these is Passover, or Pesach, which we celebrate to remember that God freed the children of Israel from Egyptian slavery. We hold a wonderful service at home that involves the whole family, especially the children. The service is called the Seder and takes place round the dinner table. It tells the whole dramatic story, which is symbolized in food arranged on a traditional plate. Unleavened bread, or matzah, recalls the haste of leaving Egypt when there was no time for the bread to rise. Bitter herbs recall the hard times of slavery, and salt water the tears of the slaves. This sweet mixture looks like mortar that was used by the Hebrew slaves in building Pharaoh's treasure cities, and the lamb bone recalls the sacrifices in the temple. The service at home is set out in a book called the Haggadah, or narration, which is often beautifully illustrated and annotated to engage with children and adults alike.
Tet.
The festival of Shavuot celebrates the day that God gave the Torah to the Jewish people at Mount Sinai.
Yud.
During Sukkot, we recall the wandering of the children of Israel for 40 years in the wilderness, living in temporary dwellings when God provided for their needs. We celebrate it today by eating and relaxing in makeshift booths or huts, partly open to the sky. The loose roof covering is usually decorated by hanging fruit from it.
Chaf.
The Jewish New Year occurs around September time. It's considered the birthday of the world, and we herald it by blowing a ram's horn, the shofar. Although it's a celebration, it's also a very serious time, because it's the start of 10 days when we look back over the past year to see where we've gone wrong and atone for our sins before God's judgment on the 10th day, Yom Kippur.
Lamed.
After the Torah reading, the choir and the congregation affirms, "This is the Torah that Moses placed before the children of Israel on God's command."
Mem.
Then the Torah is dressed in its mantle and silverware and placed in the ark.
Nun.
A Sefer Torah may be 35 meters long and weigh 20 kilos. At the other end of the scale is this little parchment called a mezuzah, which literally means doorpost. On the parchment is written a passage from the Torah called the Shema, which starts, "Hear, O Israel, the Lord is our God, the one and only God." It goes on to tell us to love God and to write this passage on our doorposts. Although the writing is tiny, all the rules for writing the full Sefer Torah apply. You'll see mezuzahs in little cases attached to the doorposts of Jewish homes, and the cases come in many designs. Some are rather beautiful.
Samech.
These men have just finished the morning service. Each is wearing a prayer shawl or talit, and the leather straps are part of their tefillin. The same Shema that told us to place mezuzahs on our doorposts tells us to wear both of these. A talit has specially knotted fringes at the corners. The tefillin bind black leather boxes containing small parchments with paragraphs from the Shema. One goes on the arm next to the heart, the other on the head by our brain. So we remember God with head and heart.
Iron.
Jewish marriages take place under a wedding canopy called a chuppah. The couple sign a marriage contract called a ketubah, as well as the civil register. The ketubah is a precious document, and often it's beautifully written and illuminated.
Pay.
Man has been making pictures to record his world for thousands of years. The Egyptians started carving picture signs or hieroglyphics about 7,000 years ago. Since one picture sign stood for one thing, it took lots of different pictures to write anything. It was labor-intensive and slow, and only the priests knew how to do it. Actually, hieroglyphic means holy sculpture. The big breakthrough was to use a sign to denote a sound, not a thing. But the Egyptians still used pictures even for sounds. The Phoenicians took a major step forward by using very simple signs formed from a few strokes that were derived from the pictures. They only needed 22 all consonants to be able to record all the sounds of their language. It was quick and easy to write, and best of all, it was easy to teach, so anyone could learn it. Knowledge could thus be passed on. Phoenicians were great travellers and traders, so their writing spread, changing and adapting to the sounds of local languages. Hebrew and many other alphabets derived from Phoenician. Two versions emerged, Old Hebrew and the Hebrew we know today, which came via Aramaic.
Tzadi.
The 22 Hebrew letters are all consonants. Surprisingly, it's quite easy to read if you can speak it. Try to figure this English version out. For people not fluent in Hebrew, prayer books have additional tiny diacritical marks to supply the vowels. But these are not used in study books such as the Talmud, which contains the oral law, or in modern Hebrew books, websites and newspapers.
Kuf.
Hebrew writing has been around a very long time. The Dead Sea Scrolls, written more than 2100 years ago, used the same Hebrew letters that are in today's Sefer Torah, and the same words. Every Torah written is minutely checked for consistency of words and spelling throughout the world, using a standard called the Masoretic text, agreed in the 7th century. Today, computers are used, but the detailed calligraphy is still checked by eye. The constancy of the Hebrew alphabet was central and enabled the transmission and continuity of Jewish culture throughout the ages. That culture has survived and is still transmitted from generation to generation by the same means, the Hebrew alphabet.
Reish. Shin.
Aleph, bet, vet, Aleph, bet, vet, Gimel, Dalet, Hay, Gimel, Dalet, Hay, Vav, Zayin, Het, Tet, Vav, Zayin, Het, Tet, Yud, Kaf, Ha, Yud, Kaf, Ha, Lamed, Mem, Nun, Lamed, Mem, Nun, Saran, Pei, Fei, Saran, Pei, Fei, Sadi, Kuf, Resh, Sadi, Kuf, Resh, Shin, Sin, Ta.